For those that don't know, I'm Jamie Kovacs, the Executive Director with the Fire Marshal's Public Fire Safety Council, based here in Ontario. Over the last year, I have had lots of questions around the change in the 5th edition. Kidde was one of the major manufacturers. They developed this first to meet the change in the new edition. So there's been a lot of questions to me because we work so closely with Kidde. I was very proud to be able to bring Kidde together to you and be able to explain the changes and help you better when you're facing the public, answer questions and be able to give you the information that you need so you understand the difference in the new edition and the alarms. As you know, Kidde, you've heard me talk many times, Kidde is more than a partner. They're more than a typical a company that we partner with in that not only they donate thousands of alarms every year to the fire service, they also do TV integration to help us spread fire and CO safety messages. They put their brand in the background to just get the message out there. They legitimately do care and want to reduce fire and CO fatalities, which is one thing that I really treasure working with them. Today, you're going to hear from the experts that are going to explain how elevating home safety with Kidde and the ULC 531 5th edition ties into the alarms. One big thing I do want to thank Kidde for too is their new augmented reality tool. For anybody that doesn't know that, it's a tool I'd be glad to share it with you. You could take it through an augmented reality, practice your escape, how to get out of your house. It gives you smoke simulation. So again, it just shows why they are trying hard to ensure we reduce fatalities. So the goal today is to ensure all of you understand the changes, how it impacts the alarms, so you can go out in your community and communicate. So we have a shared mission with Kidde, and that is to really reduce fire and CO related fatalities, not just in Ontario, but all across Canada and North America. All right, so if we can go to slide 2, I think everybody's tired of my face. Today we've got 2 experts. We've got Matt Heizman, he's a Senior Vice President, Global Marketing and Product Management with Kidde. And Ivanette Bonilla, she's the Chief Communications and Government Relations Officer with Kidde. So there will be lots of questions. I know a lot of people in the group today have lots of questions. So please, because there's so many people, we won't be able to unmute. However, please put them in the Q&A in the chat, and somebody will be monitoring those, and we'll be able to answer your questions as we go. And it will be recorded, so we will share the recording after the meeting. So thanks, everybody. I'll let you guys take it from here.
Thank you, Jamie, for the warm welcome. I'd like to start by personally thanking you and the entire Fire Marshal's Public Fire Safety Council for your continued partnership. We truly value this opportunity to collaborate and to share knowledge with such a dedicated group of fire safety experts across Ontario. I'm really excited to be here today. And to start, I just want to share a little bit more about Kidde. So we have been a trusted leader in fire safety for over 100 years. And beyond manufacturing, we are also the stewards of Cause for Alarm, a global initiative dedicated to fire and carbon monoxide safety education, which is our tool that we use to bring things like that AR tool that you talked about to life, really driving education into the field for our fire safety partners and homeowners. Before we dive into the technical shifts, I want to pause on our shared purpose. We recognize that as a manufacturer, we are only one piece of the puzzle. The real impact happens through the collaboration between the industry leaders and the dedicated experts like yourselves who are on the ground every day. It's that spirit of collaboration which brings us here today. It's important to ground ourselves in why we are here. As Jamie said, our mission is the same as yours, to enhance fire safety in the homes of all Canadians and to help save more lives. And together, we can help make every home a safer home. So just for the general agenda for the rest of the session, today we're going to cover the changing dynamics of home fires and the technical specifications of the new ULC 531 5th edition standard. And as Jamie said, at the end, we will have some time to answer some of your questions as well. So first, we're going to talk through the changing dynamics in home fires and why these safety standards matter. Going back a ways, but in 1978, the average time you had to escape from a home fire was about 17 minutes. In 2025, that time has plummeted to just 2 minutes or less. One of the reasons is the material in our homes. We moved from natural wood, cotton, and wool to engineered wood, polyurethane foam, and plastics. These synthetic materials burn hotter and faster, creating a more dangerous environment much earlier. This image always gets me, but this is from a video released by the Fire Safety Research Institute that tested the different burn rates of a home with natural versus synthetic materials. You can see the difference between the size of the flames, the spread of the fire, and the amount of smoke. After just 3.5 minutes, a room with natural materials, which is here on the left, is still relatively clear versus a room with synthetic materials, which is fully engulfed in flames, and you can see the amount of smoke in the room. Ultimately, our primary goal and the driving force behind everything we do is to help make every home a safer home. In an environment where every second could count, we need families to not only be better equipped with fire safety knowledge, but also to encourage them to use the most up-to-date technology in their homes. When educating others on the latest standards, it is important for us to focus on 3 key areas. First, we need to make people aware of the hidden risk of changing construction materials, as we've seen on the last 2 slides in those images. The move to synthetics has fundamentally changed fire behavior. Second, we have to continue to advance requirements to keep up with these changes. Standards cannot be static. They must evolve as our homes evolve. And finally, we must adhere to the latest standards for comprehensive detection. This is the only way to ensure that the alarms in a home are tested against the most modern fire challenges. With that in mind, let's take a closer look at the latest safety standards and what they mean for the industry and Canadians. So with that, let's dive into section 2, which is understanding the ULC 531 5th edition standard. People often ask what exactly is a standard versus an edition. Really, to put it simply, the edition is a major revision to the manufacturing standards established by organizations like the Underwriters Laboratories of Canada, ULC. Today, we are focusing specifically on ULC 531 5th edition, which is the most recent standard set for residential smoke alarms. When you see the standard, here is how to read it. So ULC stands for Underwriters Laboratories of Canada. They are an independent, non-governmental organization that sets the standard. Products are then tested to this standard to determine whether or not a product passes these requirements and can be listed to the ULC standard. 531 is the specific numerical standard that refers to residential smoke alarms in Canada. So 531 is the main standard, and that relatively stays the same throughout the life of these. And then the edition number refers to the specific revision of that standard that the products are tested to. The higher the number, the more recent the standard was set, and the 5th edition is the most recent edition in Canada. Let's now look at exactly what has changed between previous editions and the new 5th edition. This isn't just a minor tweak. It is an important update on how we test for fire safety. These changes really impact 3 key areas. The first is with fire testing evolution. The third edition relied on detection tests using wood and paper. While those are still relevant, the fifth edition has three entirely new fire tests: cooking nuisance alarms, smoldering polyurethane, and flaming polyurethane. This ensures we're addressing the more synthetic materials in the house. The second key area that changed with these additions is with nuisance alarm mitigation. We know nuisance alarms are a major pain point for many, in some cases prompting people to disable their alarm. Where third edition had less emphasis on cooking specific testing, the fifth edition requires enhanced sensing technology specifically designed to reduce false alarms, primarily caused by cooking. The third main area is full harmonization. Finally, this standard, the fifth edition here in Canada, is fully harmonized with the latest US standard, which is the 10th edition in the US. This ensures that there are consistency requirements across North America. The bottom line here is improvement detection capabilities built for modern fires. Because homes today have more synthetic materials and open floor plans, these updates are critical for life safety. At Kidde, our commitment to safety is unwavering. We don't just aim to meet these standards, we aim to exceed them. It is important to understand that independent testing and listing is the only way to ensure that a smoke alarm actually meet these new performance and requirements. And any devices you're looking at, you need to ensure that they are met to UL standards. Only products tested and listed by a nationally recognized testing laboratory, such as ETL, which is Electrical Testing Laboratories, or UL, can be verified that products meet the required standards. Kidde now is only producing products listed to ULC 531 5th edition standards. When you see that ULC logo or the conforms to standards ULC 531 or that ETL logo, having those two on it is what gives you assurance that these are tested by third parties and meet the compliance standards. Our latest generation of products are called Detect. It's a range of smoke and combination alarms. Combinations are smoke and carbon monoxide combined alarms. Take fire safety to the next level. Enhanced safety and speed is a main thing that we're looking at. These units detect smoldering fires more quickly, providing users more critical time to escape. In fact, our internal testing shows these units offer 20% faster smoke detection compared to leading competitors' equivalent products. We have also achieved up to 2.5 times more precise smoke detection. That means our technology better deciphers between true fires and false alarms and behave the same every single time, specifically driving consistency in smoke detection and reduction in cooking nuisance alarms. We've also integrated features to ensure the device is more reliable than ever, such as self-testing, 10-year end-of-life notifications, and power surge immunity to protect the electronics. And really one that I know means a lot to all of us that are trying to put the devices ourselves is really about ease of installation. And for easier installation and maintenance, we've included a universal mounting bracket across all Detect models and a new dust cover that doesn't need to be removed prior to installation and should remain. And if you are doing any renovation or new construction, the dust cover should stay on up to 24 hours post when the work is done to help protect the device from dust. We have also continued to emphasize sustainability with photoelectric technology that doesn't use radioactive materials and a shift to paper packaging. Now we're moving into a hot topic. A common question we hear is ionization versus photoelectric. What's the difference? So inside an ionization alarm, there is a tiny invisible bridge of electricity that's constantly crossing a small gap. Think of it like a steady stream of water flowing from one point to another. When fires start, it releases tiny particles into the air that are small and can't even be seen. These fire particles rush into the alarm and clog that invisible bridge. And as soon as that electrical stream is interrupted or slowed down, the alarm realizes something is wrong and triggers the siren. This technology may be more effective at detecting fast flaming fires, like those started by paper or grease. Photoelectric technology works on the principle of light scattering. It uses a light beam and a sensor. When smoke enters the chamber, the light beam scatters, triggering the alarm. This technology may be more effective for smoldering fires, such as cigarettes on a couch. Like leading authorities like the ULC and NFPA have historically encouraged having both detection technologies in your home. Kidde's 5th edition products utilizes advanced photoelectric technology combined with specialized firmware. This combination allows a singular sensor, like the photoelectric sensor type, to effectively detect all fire types, including both fast flaming and smoldering fires, while significantly reducing nuisance alarms. Okay. Before we move to your questions, I want to leave you with a few takeaways from today's session. As we've seen, modern fires are faster and more dangerous than ever. Upgrading to 5th edition technology isn't just about compliance. For us, it's about providing families with fast alerts and helping to reduce nuisance alarms. And finally, I really do want to sincerely thank you for your time today. We are incredibly grateful for your ongoing commitment to the safety of your communities and for the work you do every day to help make every home a safer home.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we'll transition to the Q&A section. We do have a few questions that we've received. So, Matt, you covered obviously the difference between how photoelectric and ionization technology work. The question that we have is, how does the new edition of the standard favor one or other technology?
So the standard is technology neutral. It does not necessarily favor one over the other, but it does require much higher performance that would make it difficult for the traditional ionization technology to pass, particularly with some of these polyurethane tests that were added into the 4th and 5th edition around smoldering fires and nuisance alarms, where photo technology is just better suited for those testing and to pass those standards. Kidde's newest detect line provides advanced detection and utilizes advanced photoelectric technology and specialized firmware to help meet these heightened requirements, effectively detecting both fast flaming and slow smoldering fires.
Got it. Thank you. There are a couple of questions related to the self always detecting feature. So you just covered the Kidde detect features, and you mentioned always detecting. So there's actually 2 questions related to that. The first one is if it's self-detecting, does it mean that the client does not have to press the test button?
No, it does not. As you go through any of these, and I'm sure we'll hit these in some of the other questions, there is a manual inside every box, and it's available online that talks about how to make sure your device is always active, how to make sure you test. The push to test is really to make sure everything's still working and connected. When we get into the self-testing frequency, it's really about the device that does self-checks to make sure that it's still working and there are those problems within it. So if a problem is detected through that, the unit can alert the homeowners, usually through an LED indicator or an audible chirp. It's really kind of looking at if there's a sensor fault, low power, end of life is really what the self-testing is helping to make sure. And then it'll alert the consumer so they know that something might be wrong with the device that they can check or do the shelf test to push to see how everything's working before emergency occurs. But people should still be doing the pushing the test button as dictated in the manual to make sure that everything's still connected.
Perfect. So you actually answered the second part of that question already, which is what happens if a unit fails its internal check. So you just mentioned
Yeah,
that it will alert
it'll
homeowners.
alert. And with it, there's different types of alerts that it could have, either within LED lights or chirps. Once again, the best way is really check the manual and our online site, and it will tell you what those chirps mean. It could be a singular chirp, which is normally a signal of a low battery. It could be three fast chirps, which is normally a signal of dust or debris might be in the device and it might need cleaned. But there's different types of chirps or LED lights that would signal what fault the self-testing saw. And then within the manual, it'll help tell people how to address that alert.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. The next question, I'll kind of open it up for Matt or Jamie. So the question is, as a fire department responding to smoke alarms becoming defective in full alarm or, potentially false alarm, are we permitted to disconnect the harness to troubleshoot as this is an electrical connection?
Matt, are
Jamie, do you want
you
that?
gonna handle that one? That's a bit of a fine line, right? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so with anything, these are electrical devices. As it goes into installing things to code, like I would recommend having licensed electricians or whatever go in if you're trying to troubleshoot within power sources, especially if they're hardwired and it's the interconnected line, which is an electrical line that runs through the whole house. I would highly recommend anytime you're dealing with electricity and wiring, have licensed electricians deal with
Yeah,
it.
same here. And the only time you stray, I guess, is if you have your department, you actually have an electrician as a firefighter, which does happen, but we aren't the electricians.
Yep, that makes sense. I have to stay safe for sure. So Matt, this one's for you. If a homeowner is adding a new fifth edition alarm to an existing hardwired system of older Kidde units, will they still communicate properly during an event?
Maybe. The answer there is maybe. And I'll go through in the longer what that means. So first off, and I mentioned it, in every user guide and on our website, there is a compatibility guide that will give a full list of compatible units. So whether this will connect to a legacy one or not, you'll have a list of will this connect to this unit or not. In general, the answer is yes to if you have legacy Kidde alarms and you install a fifth edition of device, generally it will connect. If you have a hardwired system and the alarms are likely interconnected, meaning that there is a dedicated wire in there and they're designed to communicate with each other. So if one detects smokes, every alarm can smoke so you can make sure you hear it throughout the house. Our new fifth edition devices will connect to several, if not most, of our previous edition devices, but there are exceptions, like significantly older devices that are on like several editions back, or even devices from different manufacturers. So I would always recommend you checking the manual to make sure that they are compatible with each other. But generally, if you're going from a not too old Kidde device to a fifth edition Kidde device, generally they will connect and work together.
Got it. Thank you, Matt. Um, the next question is actually a two-in-one. So I'll ask them separately. So the first part is there a way to tell when a detector has the end of life signal feature?
So if you're just looking at the device itself, like you have an older one in your ceiling, there really isn't a way, especially some of the older devices, there really isn't anything on that one that you can see directly by looking at it to say if it has an end of life feature built into it or not. All of our new ones, all of our newer devices have end of life notifications in them. So anything that ours are fifth edition will. If you have older ones and you're looking up, the best way is, like I said, is to look at the model number. You can find the manuals online and see if it has that in it or not. But for the most part, for us in particular, any of our more recent devices have that end of life notification built into it.
And it's when you say end of life notification, meaning audio, like they'll hear
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be there will be a light flashing, I believe, and there will be a cheat, like a chirp. There will be
Got
like a
it.
beep.
Perfect. And then the next part of that question was, will the detector show ULC 531 fifth edition, or is there a certain manufacturing date we can tell by?
So on the box itself, it'll call out when it meets the ULC 531. On the back of the device, it doesn't necessarily call out fifth edition particularly. You could look that up through the manufacturing code, but really when you go through any of ours, we're always trying to meet the latest edition as a whole. So anything that we're producing now will be fifth edition.
Okay, perfect. The next question is related to the technology topic that you covered. It says, I've heard ionization is being phased out slowly. Is this true?
I would say for us, all of our new devices that we are producing are photoelectric. This is not to say that ionization is not a safe technology. It still can detect fires. It's more as we got to fifth edition, and in particular the polyurethane fast flaming test that's in there. Photoelectric is able to pass that test, while ionization has a little bit harder with that particular test. So it's not so much that ionization is a bad technology or that it's like, oh, no one wants or we don't want to sell it anymore. It's more about this. We're using photo to meet this latest standard.
Got it. And I think to emphasize what you said at the beginning of the webinar, that the key is that it meets the standard regardless of the technology, correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, perfect. To kind of follow that topic, the next question is, are alarm manufacturers like Kidde still selling older edition alarms, and when will those be phased out?
So when a new edition is introduced, there is typically a transition period that allows manufacturers time to make sure we redesign, go through the testing to meet the newest standard. And then there is generally a cutoff date where all products manufactured must meet the new standard. However, older edition products may still be available to purchase in retail stores for a period of time after that, as long as the manufacturing is at the cutoff date for it. So there's normally a transition period where there's more than one edition active at a time. And then there's a cutoff date where one is no longer active. It can still be sold, but not manufactured. And then it gives everyone time to phase into the new editions.
Perfect. The next question is related to RF. So when will the new wireless RF hardwired and battery models be available?
This year, we have new RF models, both hardwired and DC units that are going to be available this year. Summertime is when they're coming. April through June, I believe, is generally when the launch date is going to be.
Perfect. Thank you for that. So the next question is, do you have a diagram indicating the placement of alarms in split level residences?
I believe so on our website. I believe it's there. I would have to double check to confirm that we have it for split level in particular. We have diagrams for that, but I believe on our website it's there for split level. But if it's not, you can either reach out to Jamie, who can talk to us, and we can look at getting one made if that's something that people need.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in there, Matt, and say I'll take that information to the OFM too.
Yeah.
They're working on some 3 different images showing where the alarm should be placed. I'll take that split level back. I actually live in a split level, so yeah, I will take that away.
And beyond this, with like the split level one in particular, if there is certain content or certain diagrams or certain things within the standards that you guys need that we don't have or we could help provide for you on that, that'll help you. Reach out to Jamie and he can give it to us, and we're happy to help partner to make any of this stuff, really.
Yeah. And I would just add to that, I mean, for us, education, educating the community, helping support the fire department with information is a key priority. So we will, for this year in particular, we're actually adding a lot of new content, and we'll have to
Mhm.
share that with all of you to help support your efforts as well. All right, so next question. This one might be more relevant for Jamie. Jamie, the question is there a governing body in Ontario that ensures smoke CO alarms meet the new standard, preventing the sale of those that don't?
Actually, read ahead. I know you're not supposed to. I read ahead and saw that question, and I just reached out to somebody at the OFM. So I will take that's going to be a takeaway to be sure. But I believe the retailers are the ones, right? The manufacturers have to be in compliant by that day, right? And then it rolls out to the retailers. Unfortunately, you see in Ontario, you can buy alarms on Amazon online all the time that don't have any certifications, and I think we're still so far from policing it. We definitely got to get better. So I've already posed that question to the OFM, and I will get an answer. If you want to provide your email to me, I can get that.
Yeah, and I think interesting because I don't know if you saw the next question, but there's another one related, kind of related. It says, what can we do, if anything, about the sale of alarms not being tested to ULC 531 that are being sold? A lot of clients I meet with don't even know about this and just buy what is cheapest. Is
It,
there been any
yes,
thought about pushing government on this?
it's terrible, and it has been addressed. And I think what we need to do, just saw a case the other day in the retailer that had repackaged an alarm that had been damaged. I think it's up to us to call it out to the manufacturer. I've actually reached out to Amazon a couple of times. They couldn't be any less helpful. So I've, expedited that off to the OFM. The OFM is there to protect us. They're there to keep the public safe. They're basically can be help you be your enforcers. So anytime you do run into that, definitely push it up the chain. The OFM right now is listening all the time. I'll do my part. I came out of retail. I love nothing more than challenging a retailer on that. It won't stop, unfortunately. You're going to see Amazon and some online retailers. It's going to be continued. It's up to us to keep calling it out and basically shame them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have to say, Damien, it's an issue too, also overall in North America, so Canada and US. And as we've been talking, obviously the standards are in place for a reason, right?
Right.
And the nationally recognized testing laboratories such as UL and ETL are really the only way for you to confirm that, the alarm meets the requirements of the standard.
Yeah.
So really having those marks, that it says UL or ETL, is really the only way. But obviously that means manufacturers have to invest in to do this, right? So that goes back to also the cost of the product. And obviously, if you don't do that, you cut corners and therefore can sell a cheaper product, but not had been, recognized or listed by, these labs. So very important topic, hot topic all across North America.
Yeah, it shows the importance of public education. We got a lot of public educators here. When you man those tables and you're talking to your community, bring that to their attention. Try to put one on your table. Have a cheap knockoff at your table and show people. When you're in someone's house at a medical and you're looking at their alarms or you're doing an inspection, call it out. We just it's the importance of having people. So yeah.
Yeah. Matt, were you going to add something?
No, I was just saying that is, and that's part of why I'm excited to speak. I was excited to be part of this because this partnership is really important for that education piece of it. It's like we all like the more we speak this together and the more we talk about, everyone needs to make sure they have actually certified devices in their house. Like you guys, us, everything coming together is really how we get that to stick and get more people moving in that direction where we can enforce it better.
Yep. absolutely. It's a team effort for sure. So the next question, Matt, I'll ask you because I know you have a great answer for this. So it looks like the question is, it looks like the detect line doesn't have a strobe, which is required in newer homes after 2015 in Ontario.
Mhm.
Would that be coming soon?
Yes. So we have a current strobe device up in Canada right now that's still within the codes and the requirements as we go. But we are building out a new fifth edition one. The plan is for it to launch towards the end of this year, early next year, before that code changes.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. The next question is, would the Kidde alarm still be good for 10 years if the smoke alarm was installed 5 years or more after the manufacturing date?
Yes, like anything that we've sold in the older editions with the 10-year life are still good and active and safe devices for the life of that device. So even if it was one that was purchased 8 years ago and is a 10-year device, it is still good for 2 more years, even as the standards change.
Got it. Um, the next question is, with the new plug connection in the back of the hardwired alarms, will you be supplying the adapter to connect to the older style connection in all the boxes? I've seen some new alarms come with the adapter and some without.
Yeah, so right now we have adapters that can help do the connection through it. Right now we have them separate, not in the boxes with everything. That's something we're evaluating on adding them to every box. It's a balance of having them readily available versus a lot of people don't need them or use them. So it's like adding waste if people are throwing them away. So we're trying to balance what the right balance between those two things are.
Yeah. Got it. Next question is related to smart alarms. So, how
Mhm.
effective is the smoke alarm that can be connected to an app? And do insurance companies consider this a monitored system?
I mean, for us, we have a Kidde Smart Alarm that's available in Canada. It is the generally the same technology, the same level of smoke detection that all of our fifth edition units are. So from a detection standpoint, it's the same as with our highest standard across it. Connects to the app. You can get alerts on your phone. You also can monitor battery life through it. So it's a great feature to add into it. Right now, insurance companies aren't seeing it as a monitor home.
Hmm.
That's something that we've been in conversations with some insurance companies on it, on what that would take to have that be part of it. But right now, it is not.
Got it. Next question. The new Ontario Fire Code is allowing for wireless interconnected smoke alarms. Is there any approved wireless interconnect made in Canada?
That's the same idea as the RF ones that we
Mm-hmm.
had earlier. So
Mm-hmm.
those we have some devices that are both DC and hardwired units. So if you're trying to connect the DC units or the battery units into a hardwired system, you can. We have those coming out here this year.
Got it. Next question, Jamie, I'll go to you for the next question. The question is, when responding to an alarm call and the homeowner has an alarm that is connected to a monitoring agency and is less than 10 years old, is that compliant with the code, or do they need an additional standalone smoke seal alarm?
No, what? I'm not even going to attempt that. That is definitely out of my skill set. So I will copy that question and I will get you an answer. I know this is what I love about these webinars. I see Gwen Lewis and Vince, they're with the OMFPOA. They've been answering some questions back and forth as well. So what makes the fire service so strong is if somebody is able to answer that, like jump in. I don't have pride. Every room I go in, I say I usually know the least. So I will copy that. If we don't get a question and answer in the chat, I will definitely take care of that in email.
Yeah, Jamie, there's a lot of nuances to codes, and it's important to double check. It says the next question, why are there so many false alarms with the alarms that have the strobe lights? We find many people have been disabling the alarms because of the amount of false alarm activations that occur. There's many reasons for false alarms, but Matt, maybe you can maybe share some of the most common things
Yeah,
when these things happen.
there's many reasons for false alarms in general as it goes. Sometimes depending on the setup for it within the electrical system. If you have, like I said earlier, if you're getting some devices and you have them set up in the interconnect and they're not compatible with other devices set in the interconnect, it can cause false alarms as well. That's why you should always check the compatibility guides to make sure everything on the same system is compatible with each other. Other things that could cause false alarms in any of the devices is they can get dusty. Like any of these could get dust inside the chamber. And if enough dust builds up, especially in photoelectric alarms that uses that light sensor for it, as the dust goes up and down, it could simulate a smoke event. So over time, or if there is construction or work happening in a house, cleaning them out is always good. You know, even think like ceiling fans. Over time, the top of them get covered in dust. If you think smoke alarms are also on the ceiling in a similar spot for those. Um, for strobe in particular, we haven't really seen as we go into our returns or anything, even like more for strobe versus anything else. So if this is more of a specific thing on a region or a set of devices or a setup, this is something we could take as a follow-up and reach out to Jamie and we can do a deeper conversation on what you're seeing exactly in your region or your field. But for us, we haven't really seen more from strobe versus any other devices.
Got it. Yep, definitely. Um, the next question is, I think you kind of addressed it a little bit in terms of older editions still being out there at the same time as new editions. The question is like, do you have a rough idea as to when the older legacy alarms will no longer be in circulation? Hard to tell, but
So when we get into if we go all the way back to third edition, if we go back to those, manufacturing cutoff, I believe was June of 24. I have to go back and confirm that. So those should be mostly kind of depend on what inventory levels people had, should be mostly out. Fourth edition and fifth edition, which both of those required a lot of these new tests as we go. Fifth edition required a little bit more of them and the harmonization. Fourth added some of those polyurethane tests to it. Both those are still active. Um, I would have to go back and look. I believe for Canada in particular, I believe a cutoff for fourth edition is either in 27 or 28, but I would have to go back and double check the exact dates of when the cutoff are for those. But they're a bit farther out, a few years away on the cutoff dates for those two newer editions.
yeah, I think that kind of goes with this next question where the question was, are all manufacturers now following this standard 531?
So the 531 in particular, even the older standards like the third and second, were all that's the base for everything. Then each edition keeps most of it, but then does some additions and some updates. I can't speak for every manufacturer out there. I can just say that here at Kidde, all our devices are in the latest edition right now in fifth edition.
Okay, perfect. There's another question. This one's related to heat alarms. And the question is are there plans to have a heat alarm that will have the technology that works with the Kidde app that texts, emails, and sends phone messages through the app?
We don't right now, but that's a great idea. We are working on some newer heat alarms for next year for 27 that are designed for unconditioned spaces, really focusing on garages and attics. These would have RF technology, the wire-free technology, so it can connect to the other devices in the house so you can hear them.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we do not have a smart heat alarm on our roadmap, but I like the idea. I think we might add it.
Yeah, right. That's a good one,
Yeah.
especially those garage. I know I've heard of garage fires happening a lot
Yeah.
in Canada, and I think that would
Mhm.
be a great addition to our roadmap. All right, the next question, you kind of touched a little bit on false alarms or alerts. This one says, we seem to go to a lot of false alarms where the alarm has activated and is chirping before the stated 10 years, seems to be approximately 7 years. Has Kidde seen an increase lately with residents reaching out for a replacement for their faulty alarms, and does Kidde replace them?
One, we do have a warranty that can reach out that does have some alarm replacements in there. We have not seen any increase in calls, even with our legacy devices. If anything, especially if we've moved to fifth edition, we've seen a decrease in the number of calls in on false alarms.
Yep. And I think to reiterate what you said earlier about common issues that cause these alerts, right? As a reminder, people, I think, also forget that smoke alarms are electronic devices. And just like any electronic device, right, you need to make sure it doesn't get full of dust. You need to clean it. You need to test it. You need to replace it, right? With time, sensors wear out, things like that. So, also important to remind people of the maintenance required with these devices.
And as we get questions like this in them as well, like we are I said, we are building out some more educational materials, especially around like what do the beeps mean? Like if you get one beep versus three beeps, just to help people understand if there is some of these signals that something might be wrong with the device, that they understand what it is a little easier so they know how to handle it too.
Yep, absolutely. Perfect. All right. Well, I think definitely lots of great questions. There was one question that asked about the deck, like we were going to share slides. So we'll share the information with the audience so that you have, the key takeaways and reminders, and we'll try to also include the answers to some of these questions so that you can also have it with you. With that, Matt, thank you. And Jamie, thank you for being a part of the Q&A discussion. Jamie, I'll hand it over to you, but I did want to thank everyone for joining us and for your partnership in helping keep communities safe in Canada.